Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast with PJ and Mike. Now find yourself a seat at their table.
Hey kids, I'm Mike.
I'm PJ.
And today we have it's a Father's Day special, and our topic today is what's it like being a dad in today's current world, and we're going to talk about some of the best preschool shows from the 80s and 90s and what are good shows and books and movies and music for today. But to help us out, we have a great friend of mine and a great father to help us out, Mr. Joe Pisco. Welcome, Joe.
Hey kids, I'm Joe Pisco. Great to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Let me tell you a little more about Joe. I have his bio here. Joe is originally from New Jersey, but he did live briefly on Long Island and received his master's degree, which is where he met the true origin, the secret origin. Is where he met Mr. Mike himself and joined the band Tomorrow's Fire. Mikey's talked about that band a few times on the show before. That was his old band. Joe played bass. Together, they had some miraculous ideas for original music, and they recorded an EP, which you can still listen to online. Joe is a fan of Dream Theater, but he also loves bands like Muse, Radiohead, singer-songwriters like Jeff Buckley, Andrew Bird, and Phoebe Bridgers. Unfortunately, Joe had to leave the band Tomorrow's Fire when he moved to Massachusetts in 2011 to pursue a career in education, teaching middle school English for over 10 years. However, he has recently become a children's librarian last year, and Joe and his wife had their first child, Desmond, who will turn 3 in June and is now Joe's main focus and priority. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Joe, what a resume. I love it. I love our origin story. And folks, actually, me and Joe and I met online, okay, guys? When we were looking for a bass player, we actually put up an ad on Craigslist. And it was...
Yeah, and Mike decided... Oh, sorry.
No.
You decided to meet me in the dark parking lot.
Yes, of a Wendy's.
Yeah, and I remember thinking like, okay, this could either be great, I'm going to join a cool band, or I'm going to get stabbed.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I wasn't stabbed.
Exactly, and I forgot about that part. Yeah, because we wanted to jam at the studio and audition him there, and he it was too confusing to like meet at this place. It was like behind. It's gonna sound sketchy. It is behind an alley. It was called I think it's still around. It's called the A Room. Anyway, he followed us, and all I remember was like, we're all putting our instruments in, and then Joe just met my brother too. My brother's a drummer, and I think Joe just started playing Tom Sawyer, and all of a sudden that's by Rush, and then I think that was like the whole audition, and then like we kind of just knew. I think my brother, and our singer Rod. I think we all kind of knew right then, like, hey, this is the guy. And I think we did like a Muse cover. I think we did Hysteria. Then we did a Message in a Bottle, and then we kind of knew right then and there. And then we actually saw a Stones cover band show, and that's where we asked them officially to join the band, and the rest is history.
In that parking lot, I'm pretty sure all three of you were standing outside your car waiting for me too, like in your... I don't know what you're wearing, but it definitely looked intimidating. I want to say, do you have a leather jacket? Were you wearing a leather jacket?
Yeah, I think probably it was. Yeah.
So showing up, and it's the outsiders. The gang's way to beat me.
But Joe is a great guy, and he is a great father. So I want to ask you a couple of quick questions, Joe, about being a dad, because I'm not a dad yet. I'm working on that. But my question to you, Joe, is when you first had your son Desmond, did you all of a sudden just inherit like dad strength? Do you have like the strength of like 20 men? Can you like pick things up? Like do you have like a super duper strong handshake now? Like maybe I know you had it originally, but now is it like you get the dad strength? Do you have that now? Did you get blessed with that now?
God, I wish. I don't know. Maybe when you become a dad when you're in your late 30s, maybe that doesn't quite work out. I feel like I'm just tired all the time. But I will say my arms have definitely gotten bigger just from holding my son all the time. So like the strength comes for sure.
Joe, I'm serious though. Do you feel like since becoming a parent, do you feel like you're being like, I mean, you weren't like, a thrill seeker, but like, do you feel like, what, maybe I shouldn't go skydiving today. Maybe I shouldn't, challenge.
Am I a little more cautious?
Yes. Or do you feel kind of...
I feel the same. I never really was much of a thrill seeker to begin with. But I guess if I were going to go skydiving, I would definitely put it off even longer. But I don't think I would have done that one way or the other. But I don't know. Never a thrill seeker, but I feel like I want to go on different types of adventures, although they're very little kids focused. I'm excited for when Desmond grows older so we can do like different adventures together. It's not going to sound too impressive right now, but like we took him on a boat ride for the first time last summer, and that was kind of scary for him because he's never done it.
Yeah.
But That was fun. But yeah, definitely no skydiving in the near future.
Yeah, I think, and Joe, you kind of reminded me. I think with like little kids when they do things for the first time. I just went to one of my friends' like little kid's birthday party. They had like a petting zoo there, and this one little girl, she was like, she wanted to go on this like pony ride. She wanted to go on it so bad, but she was petrified and like this such a miniature horse. But you could understand the anxiety, you know?
Well, I'll say this. I am definitely probably the more anxious of the two between me and my wife. Like I'm like
Hmm.
you mentioned pony ride,
Hmm.
and there was a pony at this Earth Day festival last year. There was too long of a line for Desmond to get a chance to go on, but my wife was like, "Yeah, he'll be fine." I'm like, "Ah, what are you talking about? He's not ready.
Right.
He's not even two yet."
Hmm.
So I'm definitely the more cautious of the two when it comes to things like that. That said, you talk about petting zoos. There's this awesome petting zoo not too far away from our house. This place called Davis Farmland, where they have like rescue animals, like different type of
Mm.
farm animals, like goats and sheep, and many of them are endangered, but they take really good care of them, and you get to like walk the fields with them, and they come right up to you. You can pet them. Desmond got to brush a baby cow,
Oh, okay.
which was pretty awesome. Yeah, they also have like this area with a bunch of tortoises, and you can like basically looks like a giant toothbrush. You can brush their backs.
Wow.
I spent a lot of time doing that because I thought that was fun.
Yeah, Joe, didn't you own like sheep or goats, right? Somewhat
I
recently?
still have two sheep. Yep, I still have them. Pepper and Baron von Sheepington.
Wow, wow,
Yeah,
suspicious
yeah.
snares.
Well, let me ask you this. Prior to you having a kid, right? Were you a person that liked being around children? I asked this because yesterday, this literally happened yesterday. I was in Famous Footwear looking for a pair of sneakers, and there were these two, maybe three hellspawn of children. And I'm trying to look in my Skechers to see which one of these would best accommodate my old man feet. And these kids are running around, they're screaming, they're playing in the store, they're climbing on shelves. I can't get to the sneakers. And their mother is sitting there, I assume their mother, on her phone, ignoring everything that's happening, doing absolutely nothing. And I was just like, if it wasn't illegal, I would punt these children.
Oh my
So I
God,
wonder,
bad
like,
PJ.
before you had a kid, were you in the mindset of I will punt these children, or have you always had the patience to deal with it?
I think I could pretty safely say I'm not in the camp of punting children. But I mean, I was a teacher for a long time, middle school teacher, so it was different. I was kind of scared to have a child because I don't really have a lot of experience with really young kids. I'm the youngest of my family, so I didn't have any little brothers or sisters. I did have a cousin who was 6 years younger than me, but I admit I didn't really spend a lot of time with her when she was younger. She was just kind of like the little kid that like, oh, her mom and dad will take care of her. I'm going to play with her older brother and sister. And then when my family members had their like my those cousins had their kids. I mean, I was living in Massachusetts at the time, so I was so far away from them. So I was scared in that sense. But I definitely learned that I started growing in the patient department for sure.
Hmm.
There are definitely days when my son has tried my patience. There are definitely days when I completely lost my mind. Like about a month ago, he didn't want to eat his smoothie, and he took it, and he chucked it, and it went all over my shoes. So
Ah,
like, I kind of like flipped out at that point. But for the most part, I would definitely rein my kid in if he's running around the shoe store climbing on the shelves. But I wonder if PJ, if you would not like to go to a restaurant with me when my son's there, because I'm totally okay with him getting up and walking around as long as he's not like climbing on people's tables. But if we're just like walking down the aisles between the tables, he very much likes to get up and explore. And I feel like I'd rather do that and just stay with him and hold his hand or carry him than have him
Mhm.
screaming in his chair asking to get up.
hmm
So I definitely think sitting there on your phone while your kids are causing a ruckus is you got to step up and say like, hey, we're gonna leave now. But I also think like I've seen parenting where parents yell at the kids for like every little thing they do and they can't even move without like
yeah,
being called out on it. And I feel like that's like wait, I don't want to be in either extreme.
yeah,
I like to
Mhm.
give
I
my
was,
kid as long a leash as possible, but still making sure he's not like getting up in
yeah.
people's faces.
Parenting. I think kids who are unruly, usually the parents are not really doing a good job monitoring. So, PJ, I think your drop kick really should be towards that parent and not the kids.
All right.
The
I'll
parent.
make it fair. I will drop kick the whole family, kids and the parents,
I know.
just to make sure we get everybody.
And Joe, I
I
have
don't
my
know. Punt the parent has a nice ring to it.
yeah, yeah. And Joe, I have my last question for you is look, it's a different world when we were being raised. So what's like what's like being a dad in today's world? How is it different from your parents raised you? Is there any difference, or you think it's kind of just the same? Maybe just more technology involved. Maybe we got more access to cell phones.
Well, there's definitely that, but I once read this post about this one dad wrote a post about like how parenting is different in the wake of Bluey. Because before Bluey, like Dad could get away with just showing up. We didn't have to give that much attention. Now that Bluey's come out, we're expected to give 150%, and it's exhausting. No, it is good. I think being a parent I really love being a parent, even though it is exhausting. My son's smart, he's funny, he's athletic, runs constantly, as I mentioned, in the restaurants, so that's like exhausting, but it's good. I say one thing that I am concerned about. I'm not so much concerned about the technology yet, although I feel like probably like all parents, I worry about my son getting too much screen time, but like that would have been a case when we were kids too. And he's not really looking. Sometimes he grabs my cell phone and he kind of plays with it, but he doesn't really do much with it. He catches me on my Switch sometimes, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He calls it work. He's like, "Is Daddy working?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm working."
Yeah, exactly. Working hard.
No, working real hard on this Stardew Valley farm. But I'm more concerned about the school climate. He's not there yet. He's still in daycare. But I feel like, especially given current focuses in the political world, like it just seems like people have the mentality. Is swearing allowed on this program?
Yeah,
I should ask before I go. All right. Pretty much the mentality seems to be fuck them kids.
Right.
Like my town has constantly voted down budgets to increase the school funding, and so like crowds or schools classroom sizes are swelling, teachers are being laid off, and so like I'm worried about when he does go into school that he's not going to get a good education because the resources aren't going to be there. And also I feel like, I don't know, people just seem to be, I definitely felt this when I was teaching, just like this anti-teacher mentality that parents think they are experts in English language arts more so than I am, or science, or everything else. And I just feel like there's this antitrust for school officials, and that kind of makes me concerned. I feel like I'm worried about his schooling.
I have one more dad question for you.
Sure.
If you had to compare your dad parenting style to a TV dad, which TV dad would you pick?
Oh, wow.
That's a good
I have to
question,
think
PJ.
about that one. It is a great one. I can tell you who I'd like to be like. I don't know if you guys seen Bluey yet, but the dad in that show is great. He's funny and he's patient. I'm definitely not patient enough, and I definitely don't have. I'm not quick on my feet with the games that Desmond wants to play like his dad. I feel like, what's the dad's name from Modern Family?
Yes, Dunphy, Phil Dunphy.
I feel like I kind of have like that vibe, kind of like, all right, I guess this is happening, and then we could do something slowly. Like I see in the future my son and I making pancakes with popcorn in it just to see what would happen. That I feel like is the vibe that I carry.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
That's so wholesome. I
Yeah.
love it. So, guys, I'm kind of curious, and PJ, I'm going to have you start this one off. What's like the first, like your first children TV show you remember watching? I'm talking about like preschool kind of show. Like what do you remember? Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, I know the exact answer to this. The first children's made like preschool TV show that I remember watching is there's actually three that I can recall off the top of my head.
Yeah.
First, very easy, Mr. Rogers.
Yep, mine too. Yeah.
That's the first one I remember watching. The second one, Rika's Castle.
Oh, yeah.
But the third and probably most memorable one for me, which I will still watch on YouTube occasionally if I need like a warm hug, is Zoobilee Zoo.
Wow. Okay.
Never heard of that one.
You've never seen Zoobilee Zoo? It is the craziest acid trip you'll ever take, is what that show is. It is a bunch of people, but they're dressed as animals, and they're Zoobles. They're called Zoobles. And their mayor is Ben Vereen, who is dressed as in like a magic cat.
Right.
And then there's Cockatoo, who is just a giant lady pigeon, not pigeon, parrot or cockatiel or whatever.
Right.
And there's Van Gogh is a painting lion. And I haven't watched the show in a while. The fact that I can remember some of these names offhand shows just how much I've watched the show. But yeah, they are there's like Fix It Beaver or something like that, and he's like the town's maintenance guy. And
Right.
it's just all these animals living in this town together, just living life. There's singing involved. It's bright and colorful, and it is creepy as fuck if you watch it now. And you'd be like, you couldn't show this to a kid.
Right.
But they did.
Was it made by Jim Henson?
I don't think it was made by Jim Henson. I could look up who it was made by if you want. It's not puppets. There's no puppets in it. These are just people. And
I just thought with the
crazy
costumes in there.
suits.
Yeah, I wasn't into Eureka's Castle. I remember I just didn't like certain
That
shows
was
just-
puppets.
Yeah,
Eureka's
that was.
Castle
Yeah, but I
was
didn't like
puppets,
Zoobilee. I remember saying I never got into it. I just didn't like the name. But for me, definitely Mr. 100% and Sesame Street. I just feel like those. I find
Another
what
good
I
one.
like about those shows, like they just felt so calming. There was just like there was like a quietness to it, like a calmness. I like all it's like the songs are simple. You got the jazz and like Mr. Rogers, like the kind of like zoomed in that miniature town was cool.
Yeah.
And then just Sesame Street, like obviously it was like they had like I remember like between each like puppet segment they would have like some kind of cartoon. Those were cool. But I used to just remember too, just with Sesame Street, I remember just laughing. Like PJ, you and I always talk about like Super Grover. Like I still like.
I can
would
still watch that and laugh.
Yeah, he crash lands and he has like the cape over his head. Like that stuff is just such good comedy. I remember.
Yeah, I
this kid
saw
is-
Sesame Street live at Nassau Coliseum when I was a kid.
Wow, PJ, damn. Joe, what about you, man? What do you recall?
Man, I feel like my memory of like being a really young kid is so hazy. I feel like I must have watched Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers. Like I remember what they were obviously growing up, but I'd have no memory of the actual shows. I feel like where I really like remember the shows I watched when I was really young, I was probably like closer to like elementary school or late elementary school. Like I remember like every day with my brother watching Rugrats and Doug, like a lot of Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah,
Like what was that? Rocko's Modern Life. I remember that.
of
But
course.
I don't remember what year that was. I feel like talking like early mid '90s is what I remember.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember I watched Tiny Toons a lot. Animaniacs was big.
Yes.
And you, PJ, you mentioned shows that you couldn't like share with your kids anymore. I remember watching a lot of Ren and Stimpy.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
At the time, I'm like, oh, these guys are great. They're so funny. And when you watch them as an adult, you're like, oh my god, that's not
Yeah.
for kids at
Yeah,
all.
Ren and Stimpy especially. There's so much
That
in that show, and you're like,
show
this
is wild.
I was allowed to watch this?
Because I was gonna say, like, I just remember, and we'll get into it shortly, but like, I felt when we grew up as kids, like, I feel like there was almost less. I mean, you had educational show, but there was more like just fun, wacky shows. You know what I mean? Like when I'm like you said, Joe. I was watching Tiny Toons. Like you had the whole Fox Kids lineup, all that stuff. Those were. I'm not saying they weren't education. You have Eat the Cat. You have X-Men. You had the Batman animated series.
Gargoyles.
I
I remember watching the Spider-Man animated series a lot. Yeah. That's probably middle school, though. I'm not really sure
Yeah.
when that was.
I used to hate when TV shows would give you a message at like the end of the show. Like you'd watch the Power Rangers and they would just spend 23 minutes just karate kicking people in the face. But then at like the end of the episode, they'd all be in the juice bar and they'd be like, here's your lesson of the week, kids. Be nice to your neighbors or some shit. I'd be like, stop it. You were just karateing everybody.
Guys, I have a list here of shows, and I just want to tell me. You guys just tell me if you liked it, didn't like it, and if you even watched it. This first one, I actually liked it, but I hated the name of the show. The Busy World of Richard Scarry. You remember that show?
I do. I Lowly Worm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember that show? That show, The Busy World, was like a cartoon. It was all like anamorphic animals living in a city, and blah blah blah.
I don't think I ever watched it. I mean, I'm familiar with it because now that I work at a library, I see Richard Scarry books all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever watched it.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this right now. On our bed, in our bedroom here, are a couple of plushies, and one of them is Lowly Worm in the Apple Car.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so PJ is a fan of The Busy World of Richard Scarry.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Bear in the Big Blue House? You guys remember that show?
I think I was too old for
I
it, but I
know.
do remember it.
Yeah. A lot of these shows,
I
like
don't know that one.
Okay, Fraggle Rock. I'm sure we all know.
Oh, yeah.
Care Bears. I remember that's really more my sister's time, but I remember I think they had a resurgence maybe like a few years ago.
Yeah, they did.
That was
Pretty
like
sure
My
they
Little
did, yeah.
Pony. That with My Little Pony. Muppet Babies.
I love the original Muppet Babies. I used to like
Yeah,
when they
I-
would go into like movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Muppet Babies, yeah. I'm glad you brought that back up. Gonzo. I love Gonzo.
Yes.
Gonzo
Yeah,
was my favorite. And
Yeah.
and what was the bear's name? Fonzie?
Yes.
Fozzie, yeah.
Yeah.
I call him Fonzie, not Fonzie.
Do
Fozzie.
you know
Yeah.
they cannot replay the original Muppet Babies on TV?
What?
Why's that?
Yeah, so the reason for this is if you remember, back in the day, they would jump into different music videos, different movies, different TV shows, and
No.
they would recreate them. They don't have the
rights
the
anymore.
rights to air some of that stuff. The stuff with
Oh,
Star
darn.
Wars is probably fine because Disney owns it now. But some of the other things that they don't own, they can't use the music. They can't show the stuff. They can never re-air any of those. It would cost Disney millions and millions and millions of dollars to get the rights to put these on TV. And it doesn't make any sense for them to pay that. So we will probably never, unless it's on YouTube and you're just watching it there, you'll never get an official re-release of that show. They've brought it back now as like I guess it's a computer animated sort of show, and it's awful.
Damn. But other shows, some of these, like I said, we were a little bit older, but I just remember them being like on like TV. Bananas in Pajamas.
Coming down the stairs.
Yes. Gullah Gullah Island.
Binya Pollywog. I
Yeah.
remember all of these. I've
Yep,
watched
little-
every one of these so
Yeah,
far. I
little
think except for Bear in the Big Blue House.
right, Little Bear.
Yeah.
I used to love Pee Wee's Playhouse. Pee Wee
Oh,
Herman.
I love Pee Wee's Playhouse.
My brother always says, and I agree. I don't know if you guys agree too. Like, I don't remember at the end of the episodes he would like get on his scooter. It wasn't his bike; it was his scooter. But it was kind of like something about it was sad. I always get my brother would always say like, I feel kind of depressed at the end of this show. It'd be like sad. I don't know. The ending theme song was more like, I don't know, like
It's almost like the end of each episode of The Incredible Hulk with the sad music.
yes, exactly. And I never watched, like I was too old for it, but it was Barney. I think people forget how big Barney was, and there's like, I think it's on Netflix. It's called like, I don't know, Barney Most Wanted, where it's like a whole documentary, how like people, like, there was this whole movement, like, and I was watching the trailer, like, I remember there was like this whole hatred at Barney. There was like the cast and crew were like worried about their safety. There was like, people were like really like down, like there was all like this, I guess before there was official memes like we have now, but there was like memes of like Barney getting his head blown off, all these terrible things, and it's like, and then like in the trail, like the creator was like, I made this thing for children, and all of a sudden it's like I became like America's like most hated like figure. So I really
supposed to be bringing it back in a new format.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's a
Do you
character
remember
that will live forever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember it being like that extreme, the hate for Barney, but I definitely remember there was a camp of like, you watch Barney? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it's because I was the youngest, and my oldest brother is 9 years older than me, and like he just thought Barney was the stupidest thing. And I looked up to him, so like, yeah, Barney's dumb. I hate Barney.
Yeah.
And like whenever my cousins watch, I'm like, this is so dumb. You guys are such little kids. But
Yeah.
I mean, I was just parroting. But yeah, there was definitely a strong anti-Barney sentiment.
Mm-hmm. So Joe, I think the opposite of Barney, I think, would be Bluey. Bluey, Paw Patrol. You said Spidey and Friends. So tell me a little bit more about the shows, and like, are they good to watch while with their kids? Is it, it's like, is there something you can watch with them where it's not completely mindless?
So Bluey is amazing. I would watch Bluey by myself. Because it's so good. I really like it. I admit the first episode I didn't love, but like as you watch more and more of it, like first of all, each episode is like only 6 minutes long, so like it's quick. So if you are really concerned about screen time, but you just need 5 minutes to yourself, again, like I won't put on Bluey and walk away because I like it so much.
Wow.
I'm like, no, we're watching this together, buddy. And my son's kind of grown out of it. I'm like, or not grown out of it, but he's like obsessed with Spidey right now, and I'm like, oh come on, can't we just watch Bluey?
Yeah.
It's so good, like, I'm not ashamed to admit it. It's brought me to tears a couple times. Their episodes can be really sweet.
Oh.
It has a lot of great morals. I feel like...
What is he, like a detective or something like that? He's not a part of Paw Patrol, right? He's not like a retired cop or something from Paw Patrol? He got a spinoff or something? Oh, Bluey's a girl?
Bluey's a girl, which a lot of people are surprised
that.
to find that. Yeah, I didn't know that until I started watching it.
I had no
Bluey's
clue.
a girl. Yeah, and so she's really imaginative, and she comes up with these games, and her father, like... just instantly like goes 100% commitment to the bit. Like the first episode, again, it's not my favorite, but they have this toy called the Magic Xylophone, and whenever anyone plays it, it freezes the other person. And so the father will be so committed to it that he'll stay frozen until like she unfreezes him, to the point where like at one point she's like spraying with a hose and he doesn't move, he just takes it. I don't love that episode because I feel like that's too far for me. I wouldn't let Desmond flash me with a hose for like 20 minutes because I want to commit to the bit. But there are other moments that are like that are really great. I'm trying to think of like some of my favorite episodes. Like one of the most common favorite episodes for people is, I think it's called Sleepy Time. It's just an episode where Bingo's trying to the little sister, she's 4. She's trying to work up the courage to sleep in her own bed without like needing to go to her mom and dad's bed. And she has like this dream with her little stuffy where it's hard to describe. She's like going into space, gets really trippy. But like this dream about like realizing that she needs to do things on her own. And it's just like, PJ, do you have kids?
I do not. I have a dog.
You have a dog. All right. Like I it might be like as a dad, like I just imagine like that time when Desmond doesn't need me anymore, and like I'm gonna start crying right now, just thinking about like seen your kid grow up like that. There's also this other great episode where I think it's called Dance Mode, where something happens. I don't remember exactly what, or Bingo gets upset about something, and the dad wants to make it up to her because he did something that she didn't like, and he knows he was wrong. And so, like, he agrees that she gets to ask him to dance at any point in the day. And so, of course, she picks like the most like inopportune times where he has to dance.
Yeah,
Like they
yeah.
have to like dance across like the crosswalk in the street, or there's like a bunch of people gathered around this guy who's doing like, like those people you see in the city like doing like drums on like buckets or whatever.
Yeah.
He's doing like on these pipes, and then she's like, "All right, right now," and so he has to do this dance in front of everybody. And like all the crowds watching him, it's like a really silly show. But like the nicest thing about it is, even though Bluey can be at times a little bit bratty, not often. Usually I like Bluey. Like at the end, she always comes around and like learns that like she can't be that way, or she
Yeah, yeah,
takes
yeah.
away a good lesson. She learns how to be a better person, and she always tries to do the best she can for her little sister. And I kind of like that. It's very wholesome. Well, I haven't seen Peppa Pig. I've taken a stance of avoiding it because I've heard that she's just a brat and like never learns her lesson, and like people just cater to her. Well, Bluey doesn't do that. Bluey like helps. I say it helps kids learn how to be a better person, but also helps dads to be better dads.
Wow. Damn.
So yeah, super
High
strong
praise for Bluey.
recommendation.
Yeah, I didn't realize I did not know it was only 6 minutes long. I like that idea. That's cool, man. Joe, I love how you explained it. I feel like I'm a fan of the show now. I got to check it out.
I
But
have watched a
I-
couple episodes of Bluey.
PJ,
Yes.
I have. I was just scrolling through Disney Plus one day, and I was like, I have to see what the hype is about Bluey. Everyone's always talking about Bluey. I'm like, I know it's for kids, but like you said, it's only a few minutes. I'm like, all right, I got nothing else to do, and I put it on, and it is a very wholesome show. It was good. I could see why parents would want kids to watch a show like that. I could see why you would like watching it even when they're not there. It's a high quality show.
And they all have Australian accents, so like that.
Yes.
Makes it fun.
wow. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, it takes
and I
place in
guess
Australia.
it's an Australian show, or was that an
Yeah.
artistic choice? I don't know, but
Mm.
I did notice they were all had accents.
For my question, guys, though, who would win in a fight, though? Bluey or Blue from Blue's Clues? They're both girls. They're both blue. Who would win?
Blue
How
is
could
a
you do
spunky
that?
dog.
Make them fight.
What was that? What was that, Joe?
I said, how could you do that? I feel like Bluey is not violent at all, so Bluey would not.
Wow.
fight.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can see.
Oh no, she would come up with an imaginative game to outsmart Blue.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she's very intelligent.
Yeah. I feel like
I feel like Blue would take Mr. Salt and Mrs. Pepper, season up Bluey, and just eat that dog.
I was gonna
That's
say
what
like I think Blue's gonna just call him like for like like gang up like yo she gets like the mailbox. I don't have to get Steve. They all start beating him up.
Can I just do like a quick rapid fire of things I would recommend?
Oh,
as
yeah,
a
of
Father's
course.
Day special, and things I wouldn't recommend for shows.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm going to suggest avoid Paw Patrol altogether. As I mentioned to you, it's a show about these dogs who are like ride these different vehicles and they try to rescue people. Except it's total dog shit.
That
It's basically like a commercial for all these toys for these dogs, but like there's no story. It's dumb. All the characters are dumb and they make these bad puns all day. Avoid it. Also, it like changes like story like mid story. You're like getting invested in this one thread, and then like completely different thing happens, and they don't come back to it. It's weird. I would say Spidey and his friends. I like it for the most part. It can be cutesy. There's not really like any like great morals except for teamwork makes the dream work. Basically, is pretty much the moral. But I like how the villains are like all like all the characters like kid versions of Spider-Man and like Ghost Spider, which is like Gwen Stacy, and like Green Goblin. But like all the villains are like more like comically mischief. Like they do like mischief as opposed to like violence, and it's kind of cool. And they have some banger songs. Check out the song "Do the Spidey." Like I feel like I put that on sometimes. And it's like a dance song. It's pretty cool. And I recently discovered that PBS has a kids program that you can like get an app for, and they have like your favorites, like we were mentioned before. Mr. Rogers is on there. Daniel Tiger is on there. And they have this new show that I'm going to highly recommend to parents out there. It's called Word World. All the characters are like it'd be helpful if you like just looked up a picture online, but like there's like these animals, but like they're designed like with the letters that make up their name. So like the sheep would be SHEEP, and then like they're turned on the side and the letters are white, but like it spells sheep as they're walking. So like the kids constantly get to see the letter. So it's good for like vocabulary building. 2 more recommendations. Sorry, I know I'm going quick.
Yeah.
WALL-E, the movie WALL-E. You guys did the Pixar Disney.
yeah.
I would have been really upset if WALL-E made your top 10 worst. I would have been like,
no way.
I would have been
I love
spending
that
this
movie.
whole episode like screaming. But WALL-E is, if you're gonna watch a movie, like obviously you got to watch it in parts with little kid. But WALL-E is great because there's so little dialogue, and my son just like watches the robot do these things, but he's picking up on all like the emotional content of it. Like he loves WALL-E right now. So much that I feel like I have to get him like a cool sweater on Wally or something.
Mm.
And lastly, I'll say, just as like a random find on YouTube, but Eric Carl, the guy who did the Hungry Caterpillar, the Very Hungry Caterpillar, they have like these like YouTube videos of like learning letters and numbers and stuff. Highly recommend it. My son, like, it's very slow pace and it keeps on repeating like one, like very slow. And at first I'm like, oh, this is kind of boring. But my son's like 1, 2, 3. He's like counting along with it. So I'm like, oh, all right, it works.
Nice. So, Joe, I want to talk about now about music. But guys, I put this in our notes. When we were kids, I mean, yeah, we had like the Hokey Pokey, you had the Barney song, I Love You, you had the Lamb Chop song, I love Lamb Chop, I just remember there was no toddler tunes. All I remember is
Mm.
like when I was a kid, I heard my parents' music, so I was hearing, Stones, Sinatra, Rod Stewart, all that crap, my sister's music, Nirvana. I was listening to Nirvana at like, you know what I mean? Like,
An absurdly young age of when you knew who
exactly.
Nirvana was. Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe Disney soundtracks, and maybe when your teacher would have. PJ, you remember like in like third grade, Joe, maybe you had it so like your teachers would have like a cassette player, and it had like a
Mhm.
handle on it. It was like long. It
Yeah.
had like a handle on it. And that was like the teacher boombox. That was
Teacher
only.
Bulldog.
That was like the only music I remember listening to as a kid. So.
Well, I remember listening to like you said, my sister's music and my brother's music. My brother was listening to more hip hop and rap kind of stuff. My sister, we listened to more rock, like Guns N' Roses and things like that. That's kind of what I grew up on. I don't know that we had kids' music back then.
Like I said, just between like those few bangers in those shows, Barney and Lamb Chop, and Sesame
I
Street theme
definitely
song.
Yeah, I definitely remember having the cassettes for Disney soundtracks. Like Aladdin,
Yep.
I wore out that cassette.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure I wore out the set for Little Mermaid too. But my oldest brother's 9 years older than me. He was into progressive rock since he was, I don't know, definitely like early teen. So I feel like for a while I was like really into like I remember listening to Yes as a young age. I listened to, I don't know if they're more classic rock than prog rock, but like Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
a lot of rock stuff is what my childhood consisted of. I don't remember any real toddler tunes or anything like that.
Yeah. The only thing that I can think of today's, and Joe, you could tell us more what you could recommend, but I just love some of the memes of like I know the Backyardigans had a hit like Into the Thick of It, like I
Oh,
love
I don't
that
know
crap.
them.
Oh, the Backyardigans, yeah, they were like big at one point, and they had you could I don't know if that meme's as big it was, but I used to love that crap.
Can I make some recommendations
Yeah,
of
of
things I really
course.
like? So, do you guys know the band They Might Be Giants?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a couple of kids albums, which is pretty cool, and the
I
songs,
had
some
no
of the
clue.
songs on there are bangers. Yeah, so they have a couple. I think one's called "Here Comes the ABCs," "Here Comes the 1, 2, 3s," but the one I really like is "Here Comes Science." They have the song about learning the colors of the rainbow. Roy G. Biv has like a really catchy chorus. It goes like, "Roy G. Biv is a colorful man, and he proudly stands at the rainbow's end." And it's just like really catchy. I learned to play it on guitar because I love it so much. They have another one called "I Am a Paleontologist." It's just about like pretending you're a paleontologist, and like all these kids are lining up in the music to get into the museum. And again, catchy chorus. I am a paleontologist. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. And they also have a song about learning what the sun is made of. Actually, it's really cool. They have two songs about why does the sun really shine. The first one has a line like, what is it? The sun is a mass of incandescent gas, a thermonuclear furnace. But then they found out afterwards that that's actually wrong. The sun is not made out of gas. It's made out of plasma. So they
Wow.
wrote a different song to correct that song.
Wow.
When it becomes like, what is it? The sun is the miasma of incandescent plasma. And later on, they have a line in that song. It's like, forget that other song. We got it all wrong.
That's
So,
pretty
like,
good.
It's
That's good.
it's cool, yeah. It's a great album. I really like it. They have a lot of bangers on that one. And like, obviously, it goes without saying, Disney soundtracks are still huge. And
Yep.
I'm gonna poke Mike, the bear of Mike right now, because you put Moana as number 2 on your worst
No,
movies.
yeah, that's really the story I
Because
didn't
of the
like.
ending.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
ending I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
like.
yeah,
But everything else
yeah.
about that show is very good. It's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, like, You're Welcome is classic. Like,
Mhm.
that's a fun song. I try to learn that on the ukulele because it's so fun. But like, yeah, Disney soundtracks are definitely. I feel like you're not going to get away from them. They're a must. But I want to plug two different things for the parents here. One is you can find them on any type of music player. I have Spotify, but whatever you use, or on YouTube. Super Simple has a lot of really fun songs for helping kids learn different things. The Halloween ones are amazing. My son was obsessed with them. He still listens to them now. Like we started like queuing them up before Halloween, and it's May and he still wants to listen to the Halloween songs because he loves them so much. So check out Super Simple. But another one was a recent find. Like you keep on hearing things like the best time to learn a new language is when they're really young. And I've always wanted to learn Japanese, but like I don't know much of it, but I tried. But I was just kind of curious. I'm like, what kind of like things can I find to help Desmond either learn Spanish or like, it'd be cool to like watch like anime or something one day, so learn Japanese. And there's this group, as far as I know, they only came up with one album, but they have one for Japanese and Spanish. They're called the Hello Kids. I don't know if you can plug in like a sound bite,
Yeah,
like
I'll try.
if you want
Yeah.
to do it later. But the song Konnichiwa or like a Please Thank You by the Hello Kids, the Japanese version, absolute bangers. It's like these like retro, like almost like 8-bit dance tracks, but they're really cool. Like it goes like please, thank you, onegashimasu, arigato, please, thank you,
Whoa.
onegashimasu, arigato, thank you very much, gato gozaimasu. It's so fun. It's so cool. So
I
yeah.
love it. I think, Joe, when this song came out, I thought of our band. I'm like, wow, too bad we didn't write this song, Baby Shark. I mean, wow, we could have been, we could have been made in the shade, man. Damn.
For sure. That is a song I feel like I've learned to tune it out at this point. Like like I tried so hard to prevent my son from hearing it because I knew once it started it would never end. And sure enough, it's like all the time. But I've come to be okay with it. But there was like a 2-month period where it was just nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah, that song was everywhere, man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Toys, the whole shebang. But guys, going into books now. Okay, in the next medium. Guys, I'm just gonna read some books off that were big as kids. One in particular I really want to talk about with PJ because I think he and I remember this went viral in our elementary school. But Stella Luna, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, Rainbow Fish, The Giving Tree, any Dr. Seuss book. If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, I just remember these covers. But PJ, do you remember this smash hit in school? I think like everyone we were like losing our minds. The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. You guys had that book?
Yes, I do remember
Yo,
that.
that was like
That was my favorite as a kid.
Joe, when that
I
book
loved
came out,
it.
like that was like pandemonium. Like I remember, like he's like, "Yo, man, you heard?" I'm like, "Yo, what?" He's like, "Yo, there's a true story." I'm like, "What?" It was like mind blowing. You're like, "Yo, there's a true story behind this shit." Like it was like folks at home, or maybe have some younger folks who don't really know this book. This was huge. This was like the death of Superman, kind of like.
Yeah,
It was like
it was really
like
big.
it was huge. Like it was like every class you had to write like a essay on it.
Oh, I remember the book cover had the wolf on it.
Yeah,
didn't
it was like
I
a
think-
newspaper
yeah.
article on
Yeah.
it. It was pandemonium, man, for that book. Joe, yes.
Yeah, I read that book to my son recently because I love it so much. It's probably not
The
appropriate
wolf's
that
in jail
I'm
now, right? Isn't that the?
he's in jail because he accidentally sneezed and knocked down all the houses, but then like the pigs were killed in the process, and he's like, well, I can't let a perfectly good ham go to waste. So then
Yeah.
he eats them. But like, there's a picture of one of that pigs. It's like in a bundle of straw, and you just see his little pig butt sticking out of it, and he just like grabs his fork and knife, and he's like ready to go to town. That book
The
is
thing
amazing.
about books for me, though, I read the books we had to read in school. I was always a comic book kid. Even back then, I was going to a comic book store every week and reading comics. Having my own comic book store, I could tell you kids don't read comic books anymore. So you have a kid. Is that something that you would want to see your kid get into? Or is it something that you just like, my kid will never care about a comic book?
I'm just gonna leave it up to him. I feel like maybe there's the now former educator coming out, but like I feel like there's a strong like anti-graphic novel sentiment that a lot of mostly parents have, but some teachers too. For a little while, I felt that because I'm like, oh, I want my kid, my students to be reading denser novels and to grow their critical reading skills. But reading is what I've come to feel, and also like trying to shove like the Great Gatsby at a kid who doesn't want to read is not gonna make them want to read anymore. But if they're picking up a graphic novel or like comic books and they're really into it, I mean, if that's all they want to read, more power to them. But like you can also use that as a segue, like, oh, you like this? You might like this book too. And like I feel like that's a much easier sell that can lead to lifelong reading and just you're reading graphic novels, you're reading comic books, that's all trash, you're stupid, like that's not motivating, and that's just going to make the person not like you very much if you say that.
No, I was going to say, I remember watching Boy Meets World. It's like season 3 or 4, and Mr. Turner gets introduced because Mr. Feeney's now the principal and Mr. Turner is now the teacher. And the first assignment, like he gave Corey and Topanga and Sean, was to read X-Men comic books. And I was always like, I wish we had a teacher like that in school, and then maybe I'd pay attention more.
That would be pretty sweet. Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a place for graphic novels and comic books. Whatever gets someone motivated to read, I think is a good thing.
And PJ, I'm just kind of curious. Can you recommend anything for parents, maybe to get their kid maybe I don't know, preschool, maybe
Yeah.
anything you think? Because obviously you own a store, and yeah, what do you
Yeah,
think?
DC is very good about it because DC Comics has a line of books for young adults, for kids. The kids ones are usually like Lil Gotham, and it's like almost like the Marvel cartoon where it's like kid versions of the characters. Lil Gotham is like little versions of the Batman family, and they're not poisoning the water and killing everyone. The villains, it's something
Yeah,
much more just mischief
yeah,
based.
yeah.
They do things. They just came out with one called Jimmy Olsen's Super Encyclopedia or something like that, and it's Jimmy Olsen going through all of who Superman's characters and villains are, but it's made in ways for kids. It's not, it's not a big battle. It's more like just informational, but the way they do it, it's geared towards kids. DC does a lot of that kind of stuff. Marvel does less of that.
Mm-hmm.
They will occasionally have books based on the cartoons and things like that, but it's more rare. But there are Star Wars books specifically for kids where it's like instead of being Star Wars the regular book, it's like Star Wars Adventures, and it's geared more towards a younger audience. There are a ton of books that kids could get into, and I've seen parents try to get their kids into it. The kids just don't respond to it. They don't want to look up from their phone or their iPad. And I've seen parents come into my store and they're like, "Hey, pick out as many comic books as you want," and they'll leave with nothing. The kid won't pick one out.
That's a shame. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hit you up later for a list for me to add to my
Yeah.
library. I say my library. I don't own it, but the library I work at. I definitely have a couple patrons who are like, man, my kids really get into Batman right now. I wish he had something that we could read together.
Yeah.
Let me
Let me
let
know.
me
I
know.
can tell you a bunch of names.
Yeah, and then for
Cool.
folks at home, in our past episode 66, we actually interviewed two comic book writers, Joey Esposito and Sean Von
Sean
Gorman,
Von Gorman.
and one of those gentlemen actually wrote the first Sesame Street comic book. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he
Oh,
wrote
wow,
Sesame Street #1.
yep. So
that's
check out that
awesome.
episode because we interviewed them about their comic book that they wrote, and that gentleman does talk about how we got basically the gig for Sesame Street, blah 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 too. But Joe, any other books for parents to read? Anything else you can think of? Any lightning round type things?
Yeah, I'll try to lightning round it. I mean, there's so many things like I'm finding, especially because, like I said, I work in a library now. So like, if there's a show or a cultural reference, there's probably a kids book version of it at this point,
Yep.
which is awesome if you want to bond with your kid over something. But a couple of favorite series that my son really likes that any listeners with young kids should have on the radar. Little Blue Truck. My son absolutely loves Little Blue Truck. There's a whole bunch of them. There's like a spring one, a Halloween one. It's just a story of this blue truck who like meets all these farm animals, but super cute.
Hmm.
And my son really likes it. Llama Llama are really nice quick reads, especially if you hit that stage when your kid is saying every night, just one more book, just one more book, just one more book. You can read an entire Llama Llama book in about 30 seconds, a minute.
Oh, okay.
So like, and if they want to read the same one over and over again, I mean, you probably don't want to get a bunch of them, so you're not boring yourself to tears reading the same one over and over again. But like sometimes, yeah, my son also is like really into Dr. Seuss right now, and as much as I like reading Green Eggs and Ham to him, that one's a little bit longer than the second Llama Llama book. So like, it's nice to have those in your repertoire.
Yeah.
Sandra Boynton is like a lifesaver in terms of children books, board books. She has a lot of them, a lot of seasonal ones. My favorite is Dino Snores. It's just about dinosaurs going to sleep and then they
All
snore really
right.
loud. Yeah, super simple, super cute. One nonfiction book I want to put on your listeners' radar. It's by
Sure.
the company. I think it's Usborne. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but looks like U.S. born with an E at the end. Usborne. They have a book called How Things Work, and it's just like this really cool lift to flat book. Lift to flat books in general are huge with my kid, but like it just explains how like almost any like simple machine works, like a water gun, a toilet, a car. And you just lift a
Hmm.
flap and it gives you more information about it. It's a little bit too advanced for my son, who's not even 3 yet. He liked looking at the pictures and me explaining a little bit about the different things. It was also probably too old for him because he literally tore the flaps out of like every single flap has been ripped out of the book at this point and all over the floor. So maybe like 3, 4, 5 years old, but still, he really liked it, and it's a cool book. I felt like I wanted to read through it and learn more about how these things work. So, Bouncing Bear is still a classic.
Yeah. Excellent. I remember my niece. She got like Pete the Cat books. I like that cat.
Oh yeah, the Groovy Cat. Yeah, did you know there's songs that go with it? Like if you look on
Oh.
YouTube, you can actually sing along. Yeah, like because I did that for one of my story times. We did Pete the Cat and his 4 groovy buttons, 5 groovy buttons, but it's like my buttons, my buttons. I love my groovy buttons. And so like you can sing along with it.
Yeah, I dig it.
So
Yeah.
beat the cat.
And lastly, guys, just some games. I think it goes back like I feel like we didn't really have. We had a lot of games. I don't think there's many board games anymore. I don't see commercials, but like there was so many. Like we know the classics like Mousetrap and Clue and Guess Who and all those. And some of the more interactive ones like Crocodile Dentist. I love that game. Forbidden Bridge, Tornado Rex, just Mr. Bucket. Remember that commercial, Mr. Bucket?
Mr.
I
Bucket.
put balls in
Mr.
my
Bucket.
mouth, Mr. Bucket.
My mouth, Mr. Bucket. Brother and I thought that was the funniest commercial of all time. Like, I think it came out when we were old enough to like hear that double entendre, the balls in my mouth, and we just thought that was like what is this toy? Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
Sorry. All right.
No, absolutely. No, no.
So
I
good.
think all of us. No, I'm glad you shared that. Yeah, I think all of us. I think that's
Do you
why
remember?
they got
Do you remember? Sorry. Do you remember Brushy Brushy?
brushy.
I'm your
No.
friend, Brushy Brushy. I keep your teeth shiny and white. Please brush with me every day, morning, noon. Like that was another big one. Like it wasn't
Wow.
like
Was that
balls
was a
in my
game? That was
mouth
a
funny,
game.
but
That was.
I think it was just
That was
like
a game.
I think it was a toothbrush that sang to you. But it was like meant to like
I have no
make brushing your teeth fun.
brushy. I don't know.
I think the idea of that, if I remember correctly, was that you brush your teeth for the length of the song to make sure that you brush your teeth long enough.
Oh, probably.
I think it was something like that.
PJ, I have some kind of memory. It's a little hazy, but I think you and I played them like it was called like Elefunk. It was like a giant like elephant and like shit would blow out of his nose. It was like butterflies. I don't know if we went to like one of our friends' house. Maybe they had a little brother or sister, and like I don't know. I had some.
I do vaguely remember this game. Yeah.
I think we played it together. And then I had a game, guys. You guys remember this was called Grabbing Grasshoppers? Where like there's like these they're like spring loaded like these grasshoppers, and they would like pop up, and you had to like use your like net to like catch them.
There were so many good board games and stuff back then that they don't do anymore. I don't know why. Sometimes though, if you go to Target, they are bringing the old ones back. I saw Crocodile Dentist in Target like a week ago.
And they're like smaller though. They're like
I've seen Hungry Hungry Hippos show up now.
Yep, they're like smaller. They're like they're bringing back, but they're like I hate how they did. You see Candyland now, like the board looks like vomit art. Looks like someone just like took a grenade of like someone just ate a bunch of crayons and threw up on it. It doesn't even look like. I used to stare just at the board at Candyland, like the old school one. Now the ones today just like
the advertising and marketing back then was so good. Crossfire.
Yes.
Crossfire.
Remember the song. Yeah. Like
all those shows, man. Like all those commercials for those board games.
Yeah. Battleship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean nowadays everything nowadays is like play dates and like organized play, so like sports teams, and we always had that, but like that's really more of an emphasis now. Where like when we were kids, I would just I would call PJ like, yo, you want to hang out after school, and that was it.
That was it.
I didn't have to we'd have to get our moms to like organize this. You know what I mean? We just hung out. It wasn't like we lived down the block
either. It was
either.
just kind of understood we were going to go out after school.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't have to say anything.
I know kids still do that. Obviously older kids maybe, but even younger. I just remember you would just walk outside your house, look for someone, and be like, hey, you want to hang out? Or you were just able to organize games yourself. Like we used to just do like 5-on-5, baseball, or make things work, and everything's organized play, which is good and bad. But Joe, what about you, man? What can you recommend the parents at home? Some activities or games?
So there are some things that are like, I guess, never go out of style. Cardboard boxes. Like,
oh yeah.
You get a big expensive toy, and the box is the selling feature. That will always be true. But like, one thing we did, we got like this, like, I don't remember what we bought, but it was like basically like those mailing cardboard tubes, like the big.
Oh yeah.
Just something like that and some bouncy balls, and you're set for like hours. Like my son just loves like just throwing balls through the little tube and just watching it go down. So like some things can be like super simple. He's still like, again, my son's almost 3, but like, so I'm not quite there with the idea of like just going out and play. But I feel like he would want to. He would do it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm ready for it. But blocks are still a hit. He constantly loves building towers and watching me build towers and then knocking over my tower. It's like I just spent 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, little kids love doing that. Yeah, my niece used to love knocking things over. I used to. Joe, does your son like race cars, like Matchbox cars or Hot Wheels?
Oh yeah. We got this one
putting those like in tubes like that and just.
Yeah, we got this one little like crank it thing. Like you put the car in one side and you crank it and like goes up this little contraption and then slides down, which is pretty cool. He's into that.
Yeah.
This next thing, like, it's kind of an expensive item, but like it was something my wife found online, and we weren't sure about getting it. But we had like this like wooden table in our living room, but like had these like sharp corners, and we're always afraid that our son would like smack his head on it. He liked to climb on it, and it wasn't like the most like stable structure. So we thought he was gonna like smash it. And so she found this thing. It's called what's it called? It's called the Nugget, I think. I'll look it up. Yeah, it's called the Nugget couch. Again, it's a little bit expensive, but like it is like the simplest thing. It's like this little circle thing that has a couple pieces in it. Like the first piece is just like a big donut, and it has like smaller cushions in the middle that build it up in like a cover that almost looks like a manhole cover. But like my son has so much fun with that. He like could just sit on it and like watch TV, or he could take it apart and he plays the floor as lava with it. The big donut thing he likes to sit in, you can just kind of roll him around the living room.
Yeah.
He's like spinning. He's having a blast with it. He often like jumps in it and calls it a boat. So like again, it's a little bit pricey, but like he's had endless fun with that thing, and he still has fun with it. And we've had it for like a year and a half. He makes forts out of it. He likes to build houses out of it. So like it's great. Highly recommend that thing. Other game,
I have a question
I haven't
for
ever
you.
done. Yeah, sure.
Oh, go ahead. Finish your thought, then I'll ask you.
I was gonna say like he's still a little bit too young for board games, but I haven't gotten them for the library yet. But I have been doing some research into looking for board games for young kids, and there's this great New York Times article, which is if you just do a search New York Times board games for kids, they have a bunch there that I plan on getting for the library because I feel like some of them look awesome. Like there's this dinosaur escape game that I want to get. There's like the Stone Age game. There's a bunch of cool things that I want to look at. So you're talking about how like some of the board games look like vomit all over, like the artwork there. But some of these look really nice. So I haven't tried them yet, so I can't vouch for them. But I will say one thing that I will vouch for. There's this puzzle, again, by Usborne. It's called the Nighttime Puzzle. Like, I don't know if I'm not really good at knowing milestones for kids, but my son was able to do like that 9-piece puzzle with it after like trying it for a couple of months. And it's like super simple. The artwork is great. But if like you want to get your kids like interested in like problem solving and puzzles, that's a good one to get started with. Super simple, and he really liked it. Sorry, what were you gonna say, PJ?
No, I was going to ask you this. I remember when we were kids, not really a game, but action figures. You know, we could go to like Toys R Us, and Star Wars guys or wrestling guys, they're all like $5.99, $6.99, and you'd ask, you know, your parents for a toy, you'd get one because they weren't all that expensive. But now you want to get an action figure for a Star Wars action figure, you're paying $30 at a clip. So do you feel like, since you have a kid who may one day like Star Wars and want all the Star Wars action figures, how do you build a collection of Star Wars guys so he can play Star Wars games when you have to pay $30 at a clip? Like, do you find that action figures for your kid might be less important than they were for us just because the price point is so crazy?
I'm going to hope the answer is yes for that. We're not quite there yet, so he's not asking for anything specific. But I will say thrift stores are your friend. We have one not too far from us called Savers that I found a Spider-Man. I found like a little goodie bag that had Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, and some random. I think it's a Thundercat, but I'm not sure. I wasn't too familiar with Thundercats to know the characters, so I think that one was misplaced because it's definitely not a Spider-Man or Avenger figure. So like, if your kid's super picky about it, then you might be SOL. But like, luckily my son's just like, oh, cool, Spider-Man, good enough for me. And it's probably like a Spider-Man from like the early 90s, but still in good condition. So.
Right.
Great. Excellent. But Joe, before we wrap things up, man, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for all your recommendations. You know, your knowledge, man, is insane. And since meeting Joe, he's always been very passionate about what he does. He's always been very like an encyclopedia when it comes to music, and he knows music theory very well. A very bright guy, and he's taking those talents and put it into his raising his son. So it's great. But Joe, any other recommendations or anything out there for the parents who might be listening or soon to be parents? Anything else? Any insight for moms and dads?
Sure. I would say let your son help you or daughter or your child help you with anything. They're probably not going to do a great job with it, but like be patient with it. It's like keep them motivated to do it. Like my son for a long time liked helping us do dishes. He wasn't actually cleaning them. He was just kind of like throwing water all over the place. But it's like, oh, he's motivated to help out. He's like motivated to sweep. Again, he kind of makes more of a mess than anything else, but it's like cool that he wants to do it. And like one thing he does help me out a lot with is baking. When I want to like make a pizza or something, like I'll let him put all the flour and stuff into the bowl. I have to stop him from putting too much. I'm like, okay, that's enough. That's enough spoons. We're good. And then I have to take it away. But like he loves doing it. He gets excited about it, and it's kind of like a nice little bonding experience. So I highly recommend just realize you're going to have to clean up later, but like it's worth it.
Yeah,
because what you don't want is to shut them down and be like, oh, I'll just do it for you. You can't do anything, because then they're never going to want to help you again. It's easy to feel that frustration. Very easy to feel that frustration. He's got to like roll with it.
Yeah, we can validate that. Yeah. So Joe,
I
anything
think
we're
you said Mr. Joe. That's what they call him at the library now.
Oh
Mr.
shit!
Joe.
Perfect. Okay, so Mr. Joe, any where can people follow you or anything they can social media, anything like that?
I don't have one for myself, but like I'll plug our old band. Check out www.tomorrowsfire.com. Check out some old music. You get to see a young Mike and a young me on the homepage right there.
Yeah.
Back before my beard turned all gray.
Great. Well, Joe, thanks for coming on the show, man. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, and same time, same table.
Have a good one.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Boys and girls, lunchtime is over. For more information, visit their website at coolkidslunchtable.podbean.com. Follow the boys on all social media platforms. Just search Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast. Now get to class before you get detention.